I've been trying to call. I've been on my own for long enough. Maybe you can show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through withdrawals. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby. I look around and since it is cold and empty, no one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep right until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Hit the road in overdrive. The city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm coming back to let you know I can never say it on the phone. But whenever I let you go, this time I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. Feel free to be whoever you wanna be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. Feels like the world is picking on ya. Feels like it's picking on me. But trying to please everybody, that ain't no way to be. So many people try to get you to fit their mold. I think it's time for a change. This is what I say. Feel free to be whoever you wanna be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Two Tone Talk by God podcast, and it is Friday. I will go ahead and tell you, if you are watching the YouTube live stream right now, I will go ahead and tell you, I don't know what's going on. I've been having technical difficulties since last night on these live streams.
I have tried to take steps to fix it. I hope everything works. But if it doesn't, just give it a second and hopefully it'll start working again if it goes down. But welcome to the Two Tone Talk podcast. It is the Tennessee Titans bye week, a week off for the players and fans as we try to look to the rest of the season and see what in the heck is going to happen the rest of the way. And someone in the chat, B Ravens 1, who has always been in the chat. B Ravens 1, who of course, as you can probably tell, is a diehard Baltimore Ravens fan, and the Ravens, of course, whooped up on the Titans in London on Sunday, and so B Ravens 1 in the chat absolutely has those bragging rights here today. We're already having technical difficulties on this stupid piece of crap software. I don't know if it's the software. I don't know if it's the internet. The internet is not a problem on any other device in this house except for this stupid software right here. So hopefully we can just get through this today and enjoy this dang podcast. There are trade rumors going on. Trade rumors that are based on nothing. I'm in a bad mood today, and it doesn't have anything to do with the Titans. It has everything to do with the technical difficulties on the Two Tone Talk podcast. Okay? There are trade rumors that are based on absolutely nothing. No credible source whatsoever has said anything about trade rumors. These random Twitter accounts that are like, the Titans are probably going to trade. Heavy rumors that the Titans are going to make a trade. People with like no followers at all. People with no credibility at all. They bought a blue check mark and everybody's like, oh, it's the gospel truth. It's not the gospel truth. It's completely and utterly, I'm not going to say it's false. I'm just saying, everybody's freaking out because these Twitter accounts with 100 followers, that are spouting off stuff about trade rumors. Now, but let's talk about trade rumors, okay? Titans are 2-4. Trade deadline. When is the trade deadline, everybody? Let's just go look. If you're just tuning in and I seem like I'm in a bad mood, it's because of technical difficulties that have been going on that I thought I had fixed that are now apparently not fixed. But let's see here. When is the NFL trade deadline? Trade deadline, which is rapidly approaching. This says it's on Halloween. So that's probably a bad omen. This says trade deadlines at the end of the month. So we got we're getting mighty close. The Titans are 2-4. I'm sure Mike Vrabel would try to say that they're still trying to compete and they're still trying to be competitive and they're still trying to make some noise. That's great, but if you're looking to the future, should the Titans look to trade guys like Derrick Henry, Danico Autry, Kevin Byard, DeAndre Hopkins? Should these be guys that the Titans are kind of shopping around to maybe send to teams that are contenders right now that might be, might need a good safety, might need a good wide receiver, might need a good D tackle, might need a good running back, elite running back at Derrick Henry? Should the Titans explore these options? Well, sure. Sure they should. Especially, look, they're 2-4 right now, and if the trade deadline, somebody tell me if I'm wrong. There's Google telling me the trade deadline is on October 31, and the Tennessee Titans will have one game before then. So at worst, the Titans would be 2-5 if they lose to Atlanta. So is 2-5 going to be enough for Mike Vrabel and the gang to look and say, hey, let's trade some of these guys, get some draft capital, and look to the future? Is that going to be enough? I don't know. Probably not for Vrabel, but don't forget, Vrabel is not the only person involved here. Vrabel is not the only person involved in these decisions. GM Rand Carthon's going to have something to say. Amy Adams Strunk's going to have something to say. And I know Vrabel probably doesn't want to tank because he's 2-11 in his last 13 games and losing most of the games from here on out this year. That's not going to look good for him at all. Right? So Vrabel absolutely doesn't want to tank. I said that on Monday. Vrabel don't want to tank. It makes him look horrible. He's going to be on the hot seat if he tanks, unless, and I don't even know if this is the kind of conversation that an NFL GM or owner would even have with a head coach, but if it's like, hey, we're not going to hold it against you if the Titans lose majority of their games from here on this year. We're not going to hold it against you because if we're all mutually agreeing here that we're looking to the future, we're not going to hold it against you. I don't know, but I just don't think Vrabel has it in him to go out there and be like, well, you know what, if we lose the rest of our games, fine. It's too early for that in his mind. There's too much ahead of him. There's a lot of winnable games. I cannot believe that Mike Vrabel would ever be like, hey, let's trade Derrick Henry. I just can't believe he would ever do it. I can't believe he would ever do it. I can't believe that he would ever say, hey, let's trade Kevin Byard. Let's trade Danico Audrey. Let's trade DeAndre Hopkins. Let's get rid of these guys and get some draft capital. I just don't think that he will ever do it. Now, on the flip side of that, I can't say that I'm crazy about watching Derrick Henry run out on the field in another team's uniform. Now, I'm just speaking personally here. I'm just not too crazy about watching Derrick Henry take the field with the Buffalo Bills or whoever. And if he goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, so help me God, which the Philadelphia Eagles, who have reunited the tandem of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Julio Jones is now Philadelphia Eagle. Do I think it's going to make that big of a difference? No, because Julio is getting older. He's hurt a lot. But if AJ and Julio go off in Philadelphia and are great, I'm going to need to check myself into an insane asylum. I feel like I already am in an insane asylum dealing with this software that keeps messing up. It's been good for the last little bit. I don't want to jinx it. But anyway, I would hate to see Derrick Henry or Kevin Byard, especially those two guys, run out on the field with some other team. That would hurt my heart. It would hurt my heart. You know? Just like I still hate watching AJ run out on the field in that ugly Eagles uniform. I hate it. I hate to watch it. I don't like watching the Eagles. Because every time I see AJ, I'm like, man, we had that guy. We had him. He was on our team. He used to wear two-tone blue. Now he's over there wearing ugly vomit green Philadelphia uniforms. So, yeah, I mean, it would be even worse to see Derrick Henry with another team. But with that being said, I am not going to let my personal feelings get in the way. If you can get something... I saw somebody on Twitter yesterday said, would you take a second-round pick in return for Derrick Henry? Honestly, if they're going to give you a second-rounder, I mean, Titans better consider that. Because the Titans currently don't have a third-round pick. They've already given up some draft capital in some regards. There's another round later on where they don't have a pick. But a third-round pick, I mean, you can still get a quality player in the third round of the draft, and they currently don't have one. They currently don't have a third-round pick. So, like, if the Titans, and nobody said I'm wrong, Google says the trade deadline is Halloween, October 31. And if that's true, and the Titans will at worst be 2-5 by the trade deadline, I think you'd be stupid not to at least see. Now, if you explore and you don't feel like you can get anything in return for one of these guys that's worth it, then you forget it. See what we can do with them. But I'll just go ahead and tell you, if the Titans beat the Falcons when they come back on October 29, if they beat the Falcons, dude, Vrabel's going to be all in on this team. He is not at all going to want to trade anybody. He's going to be like, look at there, we beat Atlanta. And guess what? You're not going to want to do it either. And I'm not going to want to do it either. The Tennessee Titans are always one win away from giving everybody hope again. You know, if they come out and beat Atlanta and look great, we're all going to be back on board. You already know we are. But honestly, yes, you should explore some trades with these guys, of course. You should explore and see what, if you can get something really good in return. Of course. That's something you should consider, especially if you lose to Atlanta, you're 2-5, then that's going to be an important game, honestly, because it's 2 days before the trade deadline, and if Tennessee loses and falls to 2-5, now, you should actively be looking for trade partners at that point. But if they win 3-4, you're going to see, and also one thing to consider. When the Titans come back, they play the Falcons on that Sunday, and then they turn right around and play the Steelers on Thursday night right after that. So, it would be a lot of changes if you're going to trade, and I'm about to talk about that, B. Ravens 1, who just asked a question about the quarterback situation. I'm about to talk about that. But if you lose to the Falcons, and then you decide, okay, we got 2 days, we need to trade. We need to trade some of these guys, see what we can get. You're talking about a lot of changes from the Sunday game to the Thursday game. So, there's a lot happening here. And I don't know what the heck's going to happen, because it's not just about Vrabel. It's about Rand Carthon, a new GM who probably has a certain vision for what he'd like to see. You've got Amy Adams Strunk, who's looking to the future, a new stadium being built here over the next few years. She's probably going to want the best team possible to be playing in that new stadium, right? So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting when they play Atlanta. If they lose that game, how do you not start just taking an eye completely to the future and saying, okay, 2-5, let's look ahead. So there's my thought. Yeah, if you can get something good for these guys, but we have to talk about what something good even is. What do you consider to be a solid trade for a guy like Kevin Byard? Would a third rounder, would that be something you would look at and say, yes, we need to do that? We need to do that right there. For Derrick Henry, for a guy like Derrick Henry, who still, to me, has a lot left in the tank, what do you look at him and say, okay, that's an acceptable trade. That's what we need. What is worth it to you for these guys? And we probably all differ on that. There's some people who would say only trade a guy like Derrick Henry for, a late round draft pick's all you're going to get in return. And if that's the case, I don't even think it's worth it. Quarterback situation. Again, if there's technical difficulties, give it a second, it'll fix itself. I don't know what's going on. This is, of course, just for the YouTube people. If you're listening on Spotify or something, you're probably not having any trouble at all. But anyway, the quarterback situation. Now, I'm just going to reiterate what I said on Monday. Ryan Tannehill's hurt. High ankle sprain. Last report we saw is that he's not going to have surgery. And so, he's probably going to miss some time. Probably. And the thought process is he's probably not going to be able to go by the time they play Atlanta. Okay, so that leaves Malik Willis or Will Levis, and I've made it clear it needs to be Levis. It needs to be Will Levis for multiple reasons. I know, the question is, how good of a gauge can you get on what this guy brings to the table? He's a rookie, doesn't have a lot of experience, offensive line isn't great. Outside of DeAndre Hopkins, the weapons on the outside aren't great. So how good of a look can you possibly get? And keep in mind, Atlanta, who they would be playing against, has a pretty darn good defense. So that's something to take into account too. But I just think with a draft class like this coming in that's so quarterback heavy, Ryan Green. Hey, when do the Titans and the Jags play? When are you gonna have me on? When are you gonna have me on, Ryan Green? what was I? Oh, the quarterback situation. I mean, when you got a quarterback class that's as good and a lot of talent coming out of there. Of course, if these rumors about Caleb Williams wanting to take ownership of a team or whatever team he gets drafted to, then forget it. But a lot of talent coming out of this draft. I mean, do you not at least want to at least kind of see what you got in this Will Levis so that you can kind of have a clue about whether you want to build around him this offseason or whatever? Like, huh? You sure? I'd at least like to see. And especially, I mean, my gosh, if you lose, I mean, they got 2 games within like 5 days when they come back against Atlanta, Pittsburgh. You lose both of those, you're 2-6. My God, you may as well just put them in there anyway. And like, why not just go ahead and throw them out there? Ryan Green says, I'm coming. Dude, if you're in the Jacksonville area, I know we got XD Gamer, who's a diehard Jags fan. I was on last year up in the season finale, and I guess the Titans and Jags probably play in about a month or so. Anyway, yeah, if you get to 2-6 and stuff, why would you not put him in? I mean, there's rumors that the Titans are going to start Will Levis against Atlanta to see what they've got. But, I mean, it's Twitter accounts with 100 followers and no credibility at all. People that bought a blue check mark, and so they think they're something. I mean, I don't even, I don't even know what to believe about all these reports. But yeah, I want to see Will Levis in 2 weeks, or not less than 2 weeks now, a week and a half. I want to see Will Levis just because, not just about Tannehill's injury, but I mean, Tannehill hasn't even been playing well. I mean, I'm sorry. I appreciate the guy, and I know there are other elements at play. Offensive line's not great. Outside of Hopkins, the outside weapons have been very disappointing. But, I mean, Tannehill, he's thrown some bad interceptions. What is it, 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. I mean, come on. Let's not act like clearly this guy's bringing something to the table. Like, come on. It's time to see what you got with the young guy. All right. Players that I'm looking at when the Titans come back with a magnifying glass, not just for this season, but for the future. Let's talk about a few of those guys. Treylon Burks, hello. Bro, it's time. Like, it is time to see if you're gonna be that dude or not. Because if not, we got to go looking for a wide receiver in the draft too. So I got a magnifying glass on him. I mean, come on, dude. Either do it or don't. Kyle Phillips, magnifying glass on you. I don't want to see him fielding punts anymore. I guarantee you that. But at wide receiver, I'd like to see him do something. Magnifying glass on him. Chig Okonkwo regressed tremendously in year 2. Magnifying glass on him. Who else? Defensively. Let's swap over to defense here. A guy like Trey Avery. Because Christian Fulton, I'm assuming he's out at the end of the year. So I'm looking at him. I'm looking at guys like Roger McCreary, Elijah Molden, some of these young guys in the secondary. I would love to see Caleb Farley at least get a shot. Because we did spend a first-round draft pick on him. Thank you, John Robinson. Did I mention he got fired in the middle of the year last year? So, I mean, I'm putting a magnifying glass on those guys. I'm continuing to look at guys like Harold Landry and Jeff Simmons who are getting paid a ton of money. You would expect them, but I mean, they're here regardless. They got paid big money. So yeah, I'm looking at guys like that. Magnifying glass rest of the year. I don't care if we lose every other game. I'm taking a close look at those guys. Okay. Because I'm thinking about the future of the team, new stadium in a few years, and I don't think those guys, right now, I'm not thinking those are going to be the guys carrying the torch, based on what I'm seeing. 32-1, Two-Tone Talk, NFL Power Rankings. This is just how I see it, okay? This is not just about records. It's not just about who beats who. This is about how I see it at this point in the season. And hopefully we don't have technical difficulties. Here we go. Bottom 3. These are the 3 worst teams in the league to me right now. Number 32, Carolina Panthers. Only winless team. They're horrible. Nothing good going on in Carolina. Next. 31. The New England Patriots. New England Patriots, complete disaster. Bill Belichick, it's going to get interesting in Foxborough. It's going to get interesting. I feel like I'm talking really loud today. I'm just not in a good mood. I'm really not in a bad mood. I'm just kind of mad at this software for how it's been treating me. 31, the Patriots. 30. I believe this is the exact same bottom three as last week, because at 30, I got the Denver Broncos. Denver and New England both 1-5. Carolina's 0-6. Just horrible teams. These are bad teams, and I don't know what the heck the Broncos are going to do about Russell Wilson after this year, because it's not about Wilson. Trust me, I know Russell Wilson has actually been better than he was last year, but the whole team, it just his aura, his way he has about him, and it feels like the vibes are totally off between he and Sean Payton. So yeah, I'm looking at some of these teams maybe selling too. Trade deadline rumors about Jerry Jeudy with the Broncos. Titans fans are saying we need to trade for Jerry Jeudy. What are we going to give up? We can't do. I don't have any draft capital to give up for him. Patriots, they're going to need a quarterback. They're going to need a lot of things. Okay, that's the bottom three. Let's go into the 20s here. Some things have been shaking around, and this is getting harder and harder to do every week because it's just some of these teams are up and down. But at 29, I got the Bears. Justin Fields is hurt. What a disaster. I mean, the Bears had high hopes for him in this season, and I'm not saying I'm giving up on Justin Fields, but for this season, it's a wash. The Bears are just bad. Number 28, the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray is set to come back from injury. I don't even see the point. They're bad. They play hard, but they're bad, and they got a long way to go, especially with the 49ers and Seahawks in their division, and the Rams, who are not bad either. So, yeah, number 27, the New York Giants. They actually move up 2 spots on this list for the simple fact that they were super competitive with Buffalo in Buffalo, and there should have been a pass interference called at the end of that game to give them another chance to win. So, I mean, I'm going to give it to the Giants. They were at least competitive. They showed fight the other night. They lost, but just for the simple fact that they were competitive with Buffalo, they move up a couple spots. Number 26, the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings beat the Bears. I mean, that's not exactly the biggest thing in the world to brag about, but any win's a good one. And so the Vikings are at 26. Number 25, the good guys. I got the Tennessee Titans at number 25. I think that, we're seeing a team totally unravel right now. It's not just inconsistent anymore. Now it's getting to the point where it's consistently not good. And the Ravens beat them in London. Tannehill looked bad. Whole offense looked bad again. Team needs change desperately. Number 24, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are not very good either. Jordan Love has shown signs of greatness, or goodness at least, but not enough. So I got the Packers at 24. They don't have a lot of talent on that team, especially on offense. Number 23, the Raiders. Raiders are interesting. Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt. So, I mean, I don't know what they're doing about the quarterback position, but I keep saying it every week. The Raiders have the kind of talent that you can't just sleep on. Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. I mean, they've got the kind of talent that you have to at least account for them. But I don't think they have enough, and the quarterback position is such a mystery. Got the Raiders at 23. The Indianapolis Colts fall to 22. They took one on the chin against the Jaguars on Sunday. And, I think that with Anthony Richardson now out for the rest of the year, I don't know. I mean, they just feel like 7-10 with Gardner Minshew. 7-10, 8-9. I think that's the ceiling for them. And so I got the Colts at number 22. Number 21, give me the Rams. The Rams are interesting. The Rams got some spunk. They got some spunk. They can do some things. I think that, they beat Arizona. So, I mean, it's not like they went in and got a huge win. But they did beat Arizona, as they should have. Rams are 21 on this list. And we'll see about the Rams. But I could see them kind of getting into kind of a wild card hunt there toward the end of the season. As we go over into the teens, we've got number 20, the Saints. Tough few days for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, who took 2 losses within the span of 5 days. Saints took 2 losses in the span of 5 days. One against... could the Saints have possibly let the Titans down anymore? Like, bro, you're really going to come in here and lose to the Texans and the Jags. We really needed you to beat both of them. You lost to both. So the Saints are at 20. Just always tough when a team, is kind of in the position they were, where they were really fighting there in that division, and then you lose 2 games within a few days of each other. Just not good. So I got the Saints at 20. Give me the Atlanta Falcons at number 19. The Falcons took a tough loss to the Commanders. Desmond Ridder actually played better, but he did have one really bad interception late in the game. Just unfathomable interception that he threw, which kind of really cost them. So the Falcons, for all that they've done wrong, they're still, 1 win away from sole possession of first place there. Number 18, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, they're fine. I keep saying I had them picked as a playoff team in the preseason poll. So they're fine. They're a good team. I'm just a little more iffy than I was. I think the Commanders are one of those teams, they can beat every team below them on this list, but I think they would have trouble with most of the teams that I have ahead of them. So I got them at 18. Number 17, the Texans. Feels a little high for the Texans, but CJ Stroud looks good. They look like they're better than I thought they were going to be, and I hate to say that. I got the Texans at 17. Number 16, Jets, Jets. Handed the Eagles their first loss, and people are kind of getting behind the Jets, right? People are getting behind the Jets because, Zach Wilson and everybody was so awful about him. And now they're kind of winning some games. You could argue they should have beaten the Chiefs. And so the Jets are hanging in there as a middle-of-the-pack team. I got them at 16. Number 15, the Steelers. They had a week off for a bye. But the Steelers are 3-2. They're better than I thought they were going to be. And it'll be interesting to see how things go for them the rest of the way. On paper, they still look like the worst team in that division. But they're still finding a way to win games. And they already beat the Ravens. So we'll see. Number 14, the Bucks. The Bucks are in a position because they exceeded expectations in the first little bit of the season, because they kind of were better than people thought they were going to be. When they start losing a game, it's going to make people totally jump ship, because people already expect them to be bad, and no matter how much you win, one loss is going to make people think that you're bad. But the Bucks, they lost to Detroit, and as you'll see here in a second, Detroit is going to be ranked very high on this list. They're a great team. So the Bucks are not good enough to beat the Lions, but I'm not going to totally just jump ship on them yet. They're in a bad division, so I got them at 14. Number 13, the Chargers. Some people would say this is too high to have a team that's 2-3, but I had the Chargers in the top 10. I had them at 10 last week. I'm going to drop them to 13 here. The Chargers, tough loss to the Cowboys. They're just, some of their play calling baffles me. And Justin Herbert is great, but man, in these big games, he misses some big-time throws. Number 12, the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks took a tough loss to the Bengals. Geno Smith with some bad interceptions. I had the Seahawks at number 7 last week, so they dropped to 12. Seahawks, I think, can still be a wild card team in the NFC, but they're not catching San Francisco in that division. Number 11, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns handed the 49ers their first loss of the season. And, they did it without Deshaun Watson. I think the Browns have the best defense in the NFL. They have a great defense, and it's going to keep them in the hunt late in the year. And especially if they can get Deshaun Watson back, and I think they will get him back this week. And if Watson can continue to play well, think if they're doing this without Nick Chubb, the Browns could still, I think, be a real sleeper team. And now we go to the top 10. Okay. Top 10. And at number 10, I got the Bengals. Okay, the Bengals are 3-3. They've won 2 in a row. And they beat a team in Seattle on Sunday that had really been rolling coming into that game. The Seahawks looked really, really good, and the Bengals beat them. And that's a quality win for them after they had looked a lot better against Arizona the week before. So it still feels like the Cincinnati Bengals are figuring it out. And we know that when they figure it out, they go on these long win streaks. So I think because of their reputation with Burrow and Chase and all that and all the talent they have, we of course give them the big benefit of the doubt. Even after the slow start, the Bengals cracked the top 10 again. Number 9, the stupid Baltimore Ravens, who beat Tennessee in London. I mean, listen, the Ravens, I think Lamar Jackson is probably throwing the ball better than he ever has. I think, some of the weapons on the outside, I still don't think, I think Odell Beckham Jr. is not the Odell Beckham Jr. that he used to be. And I think that, they could still use some more talent there. But, I mean, the Ravens, they win games. And John Harbaugh, as bad as I hate to say it's a good coach, the Ravens, they know how to churn out some wins, and so they're in the top 10 at number 9. Dallas Cowboys at number 8 after a nice win, and I'm sure, this was a good week for Dallas with Philadelphia losing. Dallas getting a quality win. The Chargers are a good team. In prime time, Cowboys get a win. Of course, the Cowboys are always in prime time. So I've got Dallas at number 8. Dallas up and down. When they're down, they're really down. Their 2 losses were against a bad Arizona team, and then they got slaughtered by the 49ers on a Sunday night football game. So I got the Cowboys at 8. At number 7, I got the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills did win, but the Bills don't look good. For a lot of this season, they've had a couple games where they looked good, but the Bills don't look right. And so I think they are a team that will be active at the trade deadline in terms of getting guys to come in and help them win. And if you're looking for a place where some of these Titans players could go, the Bills could use some of these guys that the Titans might be willing to trade. The Bills, I don't think this year's Bills would beat last year's Bills. I don't think this year's Bills would beat the Bills from 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I think this so far has been the worst Bills team that we've seen. But look, they're number 7. They're still in the top 10. They're still, 4-2. So, they're fine. But with the Dolphins in that division, the Jets can't be slept on. Bills need to figure it out. At number 6, bad as I hate to say it, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 6. And here's the thing about the Jaguars, okay? I saw some Titans fan yesterday on Twitter who was like, hey, the Titans can still win this division because it's not a good division. I don't care how you slice it. Jacksonville is now 5-2. And really, they've had 1 week where they looked bad, and it was that game against Houston where they got beat by Houston, okay? Other than that, their other loss is to Kansas City. It's not like they got slaughtered by Kansas City. They hung in there with Kansas City. They've swept the Colts already. They beat Buffalo, okay? And Buffalo was rolling coming into that game. Buffalo had, I think, won 3 games in a row. Coming into that game against Jacksonville, Jacksonville beat them. And now Jacksonville's won 2 games within a few days. Now they get some rest. And they're 5-2. And you're going to tell me that the AFC South is not good? First of all, the Texans are better than I thought they were going to be. So if you're looking at the AFC South as a whole, the Houston alone is better than I thought. C.J. Stroud is as good as I feared he would be. It's why I wanted the Titans to draft him. The Colts are not great, but they beat the Titans head-to-head. So you can say this is not a good division, but the Titans are the worst team in the division. And the Jaguars are 3 games ahead of them. So I don't know where people are getting this idea that the AFC South is bad or that Jacksonville is bad. Jacksonville, have they looked as good as people thought they would? No, but they're 5-2. They're 5-2. My goodness. Now we move to the top 5. Number 5, I got the Eagles. The Eagles, they took their first loss. Something still seems a little weird about this Eagles team. They're good, and they're great, actually. They're a contender, for sure. Something feels weird. I think, in using the example I said a second ago, I think last year's Eagles would beat this year's Eagles. I just think there was something. They had a different swagger. They had a whole different feel. They were more dominant last year. This year, something looks a little wonky about them, but they're still the Eagles. Number 4, the Dolphins. Miami continues to look really good. And the Dolphins, as long as I keep saying this, if Tua stays healthy, the Miami Dolphins are sure enough contenders for the Super Bowl. And the Dolphins and Eagles play each other on Sunday Night Football this week. That's going to be a good one. Number 3, the 49ers. This is like one of the only weeks the 49ers have not been number 1. I'm going to give the 49ers the benefit of the doubt. Yes, they lost to the Browns the other day. But, I mean, that's the best defense in the league. And the 49ers were without Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. And I think Brock Purdy, I think he is a system guy. I think, though, he fits into the 49ers system. I think if you put Brock Purdy on any other team in the NFL, he would probably not be as good as he is. And guess what? People act like that's an insult. I think it was the Dolphins coach the other day who was asked this question about Tua. Do you think Tua, is a system quarterback? Do you think it's kind of the system that's making Tua look as good as he does? And I loved what their coach said in response. He said, who cares? As long as we're winning and he's putting up good numbers, who cares why? Like, if it's the system, like, people used to make that argument about Tom Brady, although, well, Tom's a system quarterback. It's just the system. And it's like, okay, the dude's won like 8 billion Super Bowls. So who cares if it's the system or, well, he wouldn't be good if he went to another team. First of all, he went to another team and he won a Super Bowl with them. But even if you can make the argument that he wouldn't, that Tua or Brock Purdy wouldn't be as good if they went to another team, what does it matter? They're not on another team. If it's the system, like, okay, if it's the system, then let's just throw Nathan Peterman out there. I don't know why I'm just talking so loud today. Number 2, the Chiefs. It's weird. The Chiefs are another one of these teams. They haven't looked great yet. But they're 5-1. They got Patrick Mahomes, they got Travis Kelce Swift, and they're the defending world champions. And as long as they're doing what they do with those guys and Andy Reid, they're going to be the team to beat. Got the Chiefs at number 2, and then at number 1, by God, can you believe it? At number 1, it is the Detroit Lions. Who is number 1? The Detroit Lions. Who would have ever thought there would be any power ranking system that would have the Detroit Lions at number 1? But you know what? The Lions, I got them at number 1. They look great. They look great. And I hope they're not peaking at the wrong time, but they look awesome. Now, I'm going to do a little segment today for all of you Titans fans out there who want to have hope. You want to be able to have hope that the Titans can salvage all of this stuff this year. This is a segment called If I Were Going to Be Positive. If you told me, Brad, you have got to go on here today and you have got to encourage these Titans fans that the Titans can get it together this year. You've got to do it. Go. What would I say? Well, here's what I'd say. I would say that in my experience, watching Mike Vrabel coach, he is usually most likely to pull something out of the hat when the chips are down the most. And the chips are down. 2-4, quarterback situation, guys are upset, teams getting beat every week. These are usually the times where Vrabel pulls a rabbit out of a hat and somehow salvages it in some way. So if you want to have hope, you can hope that Vrabel and that gritty nature that he has is an underdog, we're going to fight our tails off mentality. You can probably hope that they're going to try to do that. The bye week, an opportunity to kind of refresh and renew and come back in ready to work. In spite of everything, there are still some guys on this team that can carry you. Derrick Henry, Jeff Simmons. They're going to have to step up. They're going to have to do better. But, for all of the things that this team is lacking, they still have some guys who I would consider to be on the elite side of NFL talent. The schedule's not bad the rest of the way. A lot of winnable games. 5 division games left. So if you want to have hope, listen, maybe Will Levis is our guy. Only one way to find out. What if he gets in there and is able to do it? Hey, I'm not going to say he can't. I haven't hardly seen the guy play at all in Nashville. Only one way to find out. If I were going to be positive, I would tell you, hey, it's still early. We got a lot of winnable games. If I were going to be positive. If. Titans don't play this weekend, but here are my picks for the games that will be played. Browns, Colts. Give me the Browns. Watson will be back. Their defense is elite. Bills, Patriots. Give me the Bills. Getting back on track. And the Patriots are a good team to play if you're going to do that. Commanders, Giants. I'm going with the upset here. I'll give me the Giants over the Commanders. I just feel it. Lions, Ravens. That's a good one. Give me Detroit. Raiders, Bears. Bears without Justin Fields. I'm taking the Raiders. I don't know. The Raiders, they're going to be without Garoppolo, but the Raiders more talent than the Bears. Give me the Raiders. Falcons, Bucks. Critical game in the NFC South in Tampa Bay. Give me Atlanta. Give me Atlanta. I think Atlanta will be able to churn out a win there. Steelers, Rams. I'm going to take the Rams. Rams are probably better than I thought they were going to be. Cardinals, Seahawks. Give me the Seahawks getting back on track with a win. Packers, Broncos. Whew. Man, this is an awful game. I'll take the Broncos in Denver. Chargers, Chiefs. It sucks for the Chargers. This is a game they really need to win. A game they really need to win, and I don't think they're going to. Give me the Chiefs. The Sunday nighter is going to be a good one. Dolphins, Eagles. In Philly. Miami rolling. And Miami, that loss they took to Buffalo kind of looms. They still need a legitimate, big-time win. I just don't think the Eagles are going to lose 2 in a row. Give me the Eagles in Philly. And then the Monday nighter, 49ers, Vikings. Give me the 49ers. 49ers get back on track. I don't see them losing 2 in a row either, especially against the Vikings. And there you have it, folks. The Two Tone Talk Podcast. We'll be back Monday as it will be game week again, and the Oilers throwbacks are on the way. Appreciate you guys for supporting. Sorry for any technical difficulties that may have occurred here today. It should be better next time. Appreciate you guys very much for joining me. And tighten up. Enjoy some football this weekend. Hopefully you got a little cool weather where you are. This is Two Tone Talk Podcast. Staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. God bless you, everybody.